Well, welcome back to another edition. Wow, that is way out of focus. There we go. Welcome back to another edition of the Witsup Weekly Grind. We have quite a few things to talk about, to throw around out there, and we're hoping that you guys will join us. Comment below, but before we get stuck into all of that, just a reminder, make sure you hit the get notification when we are going live so that you don't miss any of our live videos, from the Witsup Weekly Grind to the Wit surprise calls and many other things. This Thursday as well, we have a live Q&A with Katie Gray, who is the hormone nerd. We had a podcast with her a couple of weeks ago and got some really good feedback, but we got a lot of questions. So we are bringing her to you guys on Facebook Live on Thursday at 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Okay, I assume that you're all here maybe to see a tiny bit of me, but you all want to see the People's Champion. So she's waiting in the background. Let's bring her to the foreground. Please welcome back to the Witsup Weekly Grind, one of our favourites, Lindsay Corbin. Yay! Actually, no, wait. I do have an applause thingo. You can't hear it. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm getting ready for bed, so I'm in my cozies and I got my glasses on.
Are you a take a book to bed and have a read kind of person?
A little bit. I usually just fall asleep so quick, though, that I go with the intentions that I'm going to do something relaxing before bed, and then it's usually a race between me and Chris of who falls asleep first. Well, Chimmy always wins.
Does Chimmy sleep on your bed?
Sometimes we have bent the rules, but it just depends. She's actually so smart that she'll get on the bed for reading time. And then when we turn the light off to put away our iPads or whatever, she gets off the bed and knows that oh, okay, it's time to go to sleep. And then in the morning, she'll get on the bed at 4 or 5 for cuddle time. So she's pretty legit dog.
Yeah, she's all over it. She knows what's what. When Brett and I first met, he was like, "You can't have Henry on the bed." You know, he's not as big as Chimmy, but he's still a reasonably big dog. And I think he's the one that caved first. I think he lasted a week before he let Henry back up on the bed. So yeah, Henry runs the show here, that's for sure.
Yeah, we had a hard rule: no dogs on the bed. And our first dog never got on the bed ever. And then with Chimmy, it was just she's just such a lover, cuddler. So special rules, special dog.
Yeah. Okay, Lindsay, we have brought you in for a couple of reasons today. But the first one, it's a controversial topic. It's extremely controversial. And that is the Witsup Rate My Food Chef Bretty shutting you down. What the hell?
Locked out.
Oh my God.
You actually built it up to be way worse than it was going to be. So in my head, I actually was like, hell no, I'm not watching this. I don't even want to see it. And then I told Chris about what was going on, and he kept prodding me, has it come out yet? Has it come out yet? Are we going to watch it? And I was like, I don't know if I can handle this. I feel like I've got thick skin. And then we watched it and we were like, okay, it wasn't that bad. It was pretty funny. Well done to you guys on your behalf. But it was kind of funny that I just got axed big time.
I couldn't believe it. And the second, you should see him off camera when he found out that it was you. Because he's I got to say, you're his favourite. And he was mortified that he gave you such a low rating. He's like, let's film it again. I'm like, nah, this is real.
Golden material. It's pretty good too, because we're just getting into, Chris is starting to do a lot more food photography with his real job.
Yep.
And so that's helping me out with Hazel and Blue, and that's a big part of it. And so it is kind of funny because we're just getting into it, and it's this learning curve for sure about what people resonate with and what people don't. So took it all in stride.
Well,
I want to redo.
Yeah, well, so we're filming again this Thursday or Friday, and I've already taken a few screen grabs of your food, and I'll be choosing choosing which one at the last minute, and we'll see what Chef Brady comes back to us with. My God.
Round 2. I'm ready.
Yeah. Oh, he's a disgrace. A couple of people just wanted to say hello. Anne Stasel and Jordan Blanco have both said hello to you.
Hello.
Hello. Okay, so all jokes aside, although Witsup Rate My Food is no joking matter, it's a very serious video series. Jordan's also said she's sending photos of her meals to us as well, so we might have to add her in this week. Let's talk. It's the topic on everyone's lips outside of the Witsup Rate My Food. It was the decision by the Ironman group last week that the Ironman World Championships in Kona will be postponed from this October to February. One of the reasons I wanted to get you on is because I liked your tweet, and it was just your heart was broken, and I liked it because it's real. Like, a lot of people are in a bit of a struggle town at the moment. We know how much you love Kona. You've been there, I think, pretty much since the race began.
Before I came out of the womb, I was going.
What were your initial thoughts? And now you've had a couple of days to digest. Where are you at now?
Yeah, I think like all leading up to it, everyone, myself for sure, was like, it's not going to happen. Like, we all knew it wasn't going to happen. And I think I just was throwing around that phrase of like, oh, it's not going to happen. But then, like, I was actually doing intervals on the bike when the email came in, and I was doing them indoors on Zwift. Yeah. And so I get little notifications on the top of my screen, and you can only see like who the email's from in the first line. And so I saw Heather Furor and then 2020 Ironman World Championships, and it was just like, I know what this email is going to say. Yeah. And I was doing like 5x3 minuters. And so with only 1 minute rest between, and it's like, okay, just get through these. And then like on the recovery at the end of like the main set, you can like read the email. And so then I had like a little bit of fire in my belly for those next few. And then I read the email that it was like moved, and I just did like a quick glance. And then I had to start my second set. And I just like could not bring myself to start that second set. It was like, I was really bummed. Yeah. Like, and it was like, I was surprised how disappointed I was, because I was expecting that the race probably wasn't going to happen. But then when you like find out like, okay, it's like official, it's definitely not happening, you're kind of like, man, yeah, so many questions, so many thoughts to like process, and questions about like qualifying and racing Kona twice and sponsors, and now like for someone that's already qualified, what am I going to do the rest of the, like, so much, I guess, going through the mind. So yeah, I was pretty bummed for sure that first 24 hours. And then it's kind of like, okay, this is the reality now.
Yeah. Was the thought, one of the thoughts in your head originally, and maybe one of the reasons why you couldn't do that effort, was, why am I doing the efforts now? You know, I'm not training for something in October that I thought potentially I would be.
Yeah, I mean, I've been coming back from injury, so I didn't like set any race on my mind of like, oh, this is like my golden carrot. But in my head, it kind of was always like Kona, but then you knew like Kona's probably not going to happen, but you're still playing along that like, maybe, I mean, I don't know why I've been doing intervals. I think I just like pushing myself, I guess. I didn't know like specifically, like I'm not even on a training plan, so I didn't even know like what I was training for, but yeah, I think I just couldn't push on with the intervals because it's just, I was just like bummed and disappointed. And it's like, all right, like, and the reality that there may be no racing this year is still, that's probably even more possible now than it was before that email, I guess. I think just more reality sunk in that like, dude, like you may not race this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we, because, and you just sort of touched on quite a few of the ideas that are floating around at the moment, but before we touch on that, let's just take a quick step back. I think this whole COVID disaster can potentially be blamed on both you and I. Reason being, we have never booked accommodation in Kona until the last minute, and both of us this year, pretty much after Kona, well, last year, booked our accommodation well in advance, and then the shit has hit the fan. So it's our fault.
Yeah, completely.
We've jinxed it.
It's like basically the same as taking lava rock from Kona. We've been cursed.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's touch on some of those points. And something I actually didn't even think about, mainly from a professional's point of view, more so than an age grouper's point of view, is the extra racing that we will be seeing. So if you were going to race in February, so if you decided to race there, because you've already qualified, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That potentially kind of stuffs up the rest of your season. And like you've mentioned before, Kona destroys you. Like it's the toughest race, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and it's kind of a weird position because let's say Kona's in February, right? I'm not going to not race between now and Kona. I'm likely going to race between now and then. I mean, not likely. If there's racing, I'm going to definitely be there. And because I love Ironman and that's what I'm passionate about, like I would probably do an Ironman. But you're essentially looking like, depending on what the qualification system is, like that was the first thought that popped in my head is like, they're basically going to be asking us to race an Ironman in the fall to qualify for February, an Ironman in February, which is the hardest Ironman on earth. Yep. I was saying before this call that like, I lose a piece of my soul every time I do that race in that last 10K. Like it just ages me 10 years. So hardest race on earth. And
you're currently 200. Sorry, I was just going to say, yeah, that means you're currently 280 years of age.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Ironman again in the summer to qualify for October. And then in October, you're going to be doing your fourth Ironman in a year pretty much. It's the hardest Ironman on earth.
Yeah.
It just doesn't add up to me that like you're going to get the best performances in the world in October or in February if like there's that much racing going on. So I don't know. Right off the bat, that was kind of when I was hearing rumors of February, I was like, I don't know if that's a good idea or not.
Yeah.
But
it's so hard. And that's the thing that I don't think, so I'm just trying to figure out this light because it's going terrible. And I've become so OCD with all the lighting and stuff. And I can't cope if it's too woo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan has just written such a hard time to race. A lot has changed in the 40 years since it actually was a race in February. Do you know what it's actually like condition-wise on the island at that time of year?
I mean, I've been there for training camps before in February, and I don't want to be like it's more mild. I guess in some ways it is, but it's Hawaii, dude. It's not like, no matter how, I've never been there where it's easy. Like I've done so many training camps there. I've raced there 14 times, and I've never once I've probably been for 14 other times for training camps, or other reasons. So like 30 visits to train in Kona plus the times I raced Honu, and it's never easy. No matter what time of year you go, like it's not an easy Ironman. So yeah,
absolutely. So the other things to consider as well, and I said to you off before we even started, this isn't about us finding answers. It's just about, I guess, sort of putting it out there. Some of the decisions that you as a professional, but even age groupers need to take these things into consideration as well. I mean, we just don't know so many things. There's so many variables that we don't know. Ironman don't know either. But things like, I wonder what sponsors are going to do. Are we going to see like pro triathlete sponsors on the island, pro triathletes paying the same amount of appearance fees or, top 10, bonuses if the race goes ahead in February? From a media point of view, will we be able to get partners on board in February? And when will they be making those decisions? It's so... There's a lot of, what do they say? A lot of the cogs in turning of the wheel, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you reached out to me to talk tonight, I was like, man, I don't know, because I don't actually have a strong opinion on it, because I don't want to say like I don't believe that it's going to happen, but I'm not like booking accommodations for any races. I'm not rearranging any, they put out a new race schedule for the professionals with tentative dates and tentative qualifying for whether it's for the February race or October race. And yeah, I just have been down that path before with being injured, where you like set your eye on a race and you lock in on that. And that's what you need for motivation. And then when the race doesn't happen because of injury, or, for this race, it doesn't happen because it's going to get rescheduled, like your heart just gets broken and it's just an emotional roller coaster. And I guess what I've been doing this entire pandemic is just like trying to stay in the present and stay in the now and like don't get too far ahead of myself. So yeah, I guess I haven't put a ton of emotion or energy into like February it's happening, because it's like, man, I hold it at one arm's length. Yeah. But if it does, like, and then at the same time though, like if it does happen, like I'll be there, and I know deep down I will, because it's not in my character to like not be there. Yeah. I've never not been there other than the time I had a broken femur. So it's like, if there's a world championship and there's a world championship prize purse, like people are going to show up. Yeah. They're going to find a way to make it happen. I just am not necessarily going to be super stoked on it. I mean, I don't know. It's too hard to say, but yeah. I think my biggest fear is having to rise to the occasion twice at a race that's just freaking nasty. And like, what we were talking about earlier is it's like, let's say next year's race schedule resumes normal in like March, April, May. So you're supposed to like be in world championship fitness in February, and then like back up, go to Oceanside 6 weeks later, and then go to like Chattanooga 6 weeks later, and just roll on through. Like that just can't happen. Yeah. Unless you're a superhero.
Yeah. You are all superheroes to me, Lindsay. But I mean, and again, you touched on some more points, just in terms of organising accommodation, flights. I even said to Brett, because Brett had said to us, because we had booked the accommodation for October, he's like, just move it to February. And I was like, but I mean, I'm not fully convinced it's going to go ahead, and that's not, I totally get that Ironman need to make decisions and they want people to sign up, and I totally get it from an event point of view. They need people signing up, and I've got no issues with that. But we can't afford to be dishing out money for accommodation that we may lose, or that, we may not be able to utilise. So I'm sort of thinking in terms of accommodation, maybe I'll just shift that accommodation to October, because like there's a very good chance that will go ahead. And then February, like you, I'm just going to have to play it by ear. I'm similar. Like if there's a World Championships, I want to be there from a media point of view, but I think living in the present is kind of the only way that we can tackle it as well.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of worried, like, I don't know how you can handle 2 post-race Kona parties in 1 year.
Well, do you know what? I've missed the last couple.
As a new step.
And I've missed the last couple because a small human has ruined all of my partying plans. So I actually think I got it in me. Like I've got some pent-up partying to do, so I'm good with that. It's just whether the Cliff Bar will have the drum kit there for me again this year.
Yeah. No, but like that's point in case. Like, will they go out there twice in a year? Like, and I haven't actually talked to any of my sponsors since the announcement was made. I definitely wanted to process it and kind of come up with a game plan and get my head in the right place and figure out like where I stand on it. And I'll reach out to them this week, but I don't know what any of them think. I sent a text message to Mark Andrews at Trek, who I work with, just that because he's been bugging me, like, have you heard anything? And that's the only one I've reached out to, but I don't know what they think about it. And they probably don't even know, probably like everyone else, I don't think they even know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. So many layers to this decision. I think you nailed it when you said we've just got to kind of live in the moment as much as you can. It's really hard, but it's also, there's no issues if you want to train like you're racing in February. Cool, whatever works for you right now, I think is the right answer, because everyone's completely different.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that's like one thing that I've noticed or appreciated or seen through this all is it's like, what motivates people is different, and how people are approaching this is all different, and how we're all going to come out of it's completely different. And I have definitely had to work at like putting on my blinders and being like, this is what's right for me right now and where I'm at in my career. Like I'm not 20 years old anymore. I can't just be out there racing, nonstop. And I'm in awe of the people that are still doing that. But for me personally, like I've definitely had to, chill my jets a bit and, take care of some things personally and put that at the forefront. But I guess my advice to everyone is just like, what motivates you, that's what you have to listen to. And if you want to put a race date on your calendar of like Ironman St. George in September, then like I kudos to that too. Like I respect that and I understand that. And that's what, some athletes need. But for me personally, I'm trying to find the zen and like being like, let's live in the moment and be present. And, that's like what you do when you're racing. So let's just apply it to real life too, right?
Totally. Speaking of zen, how's your yoga going?
I've taken a little bit of a break actually, because this is like crazy. And I don't even know if it's true, but I think when we talked last, I had told you all that I had a stress reaction. And I think that the stress reaction could potentially have been caused from the yoga, which is like really weird. But I started back to I did yoga like hardcore all winter. And then I got injured and it was kind of pretty random. Like, my blood work was fine and, my nutrition was fine. My menstrual cycle was fine. Like, training wasn't crazy. And so then I did, 4 weeks of pretty much nothing and was pain free. And then I started back to the yoga again. And immediately I felt pain in the same area.
Oh, wow.
And, yoga is obviously not an impact sport, but I don't know if like how it was pulling on my muscles or whatever. So I took a break from yoga. I love it. And I was pretty bummed about it and took it hard. And now I've moved on, but
sorry to bring it up.
Yeah, I've been doing like strength work and light stretching and stuff, but no more of the like hour 20-minute classes of Lindsay bending herself into a pretzel, because apparently when you're in your late 30s and you have tight hips from cycling and running, like maybe you shouldn't be doing those things.
Oh goodness, I did one session. And it's funny because I spoke about this and we even spoke and you're like, check out my session and stuff. And I did one with Adrian because everyone told me how amazing Adrian is, because there's a dog that comes onto the screen as well. Yeah. So I was like, all right, I can work with this. And I did day one of the 30-day challenge and there was no dog and I shut it down. I did one and I was like, I'm done. They
cheated.
Yeah, totally. Everyone lied to me. And then so many people have contacted me saying, the dog comes back in episode 3. You need to keep sticking to it. I'm like, nah.
No.
I want to go, actually, just before we leave the topic of Ironman, and a few people are saying that they love your attitude towards it. I've actually received some text messages and emails from age groupers and pros as well who've sort of said, I don't know what to do. I'm tossing this up and, doing this and doing that. And I actually saw a tweet by Belinda Granger as well. And I think she summed it up quite well and sort of said it's okay to feel bummed about it. And a lot of these age groups who have messaged me have said, first world problems, right? And I'm like, I know that people, start to feel a little bit guilty when they're feeling bummed about, these decisions and what's happening in the world. But I think everyone is totally within their right to feel bummed. We're all sort of pining for the world to get back to a sense of normality, and it's okay to sit in those feelings for a while. Do you agree?
Oh, yeah, totally. And I think, it's all subjective, right? And there's way greater, bigger things in the world going on. But, like for myself as an athlete who's like defined my entire life as being an athlete, and that's the race that like gets me up and gets me out of bed every day. And that's the race that you visually like have in your head. Like it like that's what you care about. And if anything, like I actually found it kind of refreshing because I leave Kona a lot and I'm like, that race is so freaking hard. Like, I freaking hate this place. Like, this is not a fun race. It's just so miserably hard, blah, blah, blah. And then when I found out, like, it's not happening, you're kind of like, maybe I do like that race. Yeah. There's something about the challenge that I do like. And so, if anything, I mean, you're bummed because you care, right?
Yep.
Like, and I think that's important to recognize it. And it's like, if you're not passionate about something, something's not going to happen, right? So it's like, it's good to be passionate. It's good to be fired up. And it's good to be bummed, but I would just be more cautious or aware if, like, the being bummed, like, brings you down in, like, other areas of your life, and it's carrying on and on and on. Like, that's a warning sign of, like, okay, let's bring it back a level.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah.
On to some other subjects. Jordan has said, what's on the menu for this week? I need to do my weekly meal plan. So what do you got planned? And she can throw that into her diary for the week.
Tomorrow we're having leftovers because I have been cooking up a storm. So I've, like, already stated to Chris, leftovers tomorrow. And then I usually do my meal planning on Mondays and, like, plan out what I'm going to do for the week. But a lot of our farmers markets have started to open up with, like, seasonal ingredients. So I have my eye on a fava bean and asparagus salad situation. And then I'm doing weekly recipes for Triathlete Magazine for their virtual challenge. And the recipe for next week is going to be the Sunday Run Day brunch. And it's a yeasted waffle that you actually make it the night before. So if you're, like, a novice baker, oh my gosh, they're so good. We had them today, and we're going to eat them the rest of the week. But they're super good. So I'm really excited about those. Nice
one. I cannot hear the word favo beans without thinking of Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. I didn't connect that. Oh.
Yeah, sorry.
Right.
Hannibal Lecter. Cannot think of anything else other than that. Jordan has said that Blanco is a novice baker, so that sounds right up his alley, the waffles. Pam Goodley wants to know where Chimmy is.
Chimmy is upstairs, I think, with Chris in the office. She's playing favorites these days, Chimmy's upstairs. Yeah. She's awesome, though. We have exciting news in our neighborhood, though. Heather Jackson's sister is here for a bit of time because they have a place up here, and they just got a golden retriever puppy that's a white English cream. So and they've had him, like, 2 weeks. And so we do meetups, socially distanced, with Chimmy, and so cute. So
I noticed those photos and then reminded myself that I don't follow Bifta Jackson, and I'm like, I've got to follow because I need to follow the dog, and so I'm all over it.
I will say she's the 5th person we know that's gotten a quarantine puppy, and I was like, it's the best idea ever. If you're stuck home and you have to, like, train a dog and be around a puppy, like, I'm here for it. I'm all for it.
Totally. Actually, that was on my list, and I actually brought it up organically, but no, I think you did. I had on the list that we had to talk about dogs, which is exactly what we ended up doing.
It happened. No, it's Pam's fault because she was asking where Chimmy is.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Dogs will always come into the equation, and I think dogs are saviors right now for everyone. And how much do you reckon they are loving life, having people around them 24/7?
Yeah, for sure. Chimmy's in heaven. We went to the dog shop yesterday to pick up a couple things, and we spent $35 on treats. What the heck? Dog than I do.
Oh my goodness. Henry's actually, we're putting on weight because we just keep eating heaps. But Henry is actually losing weight because he's out for runs 3 times a day at the moment. Yeah.
Chimmy is fit.
Yeah.
Like, we need to enter her in something. Beauty contest, running race, I don't even know. But she's, like, definitely the most fit she's ever been.
Oh, so good. Hey, Anne Stansel wants to ask, what happened with the Cliff Cookie Challenge?
Dude, I got robbed. Well, I didn't really get robbed. I lost to someone that's worth losing to, and Sarah P took the crown.
Really?
Sarah P took the whole, like, there ended up being 35 people that entered it, which was, like, pretty surprising that many people entered it.
Yeah.
And, like, dude, I'm actually 2 for 2 now between Chef Freddy and this. Like, I just put that together. But they had, like, a competition for most photogenic, didn't get it. They had a recipe for most unique, didn't get it.
Oh, no.
They had a winner for, like, most unique ingredients, and someone put, like, bacon in it and all this stuff. I didn't win that division. And then the overall division, Sarah P won, which is, like, awesome that a triathlete won against, like, all the other athletes.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and then people from Cliff were, like, on the chat, Lindsay Corbin got robbed.
Oh my God, this is like enough for you to put your wooden spoon down and finish baking it all together.
No, I just keep digging my heels in further. I'm like, I'll prove them all wrong.
Like you said to me before, it is just like how you race. Slow burn and then bang. Anne is saying that it's ridiculous and you were definitely robbed. So,
yes, for sure. And we're still reaping the benefits. They're still in the freezer, and yeah, so we're set.
Oh gosh,
come on over. Anyone that wants an ice cream sandwich, they get one, basically.
I love it. Jordan knows Sarah P quite well and said that she prides herself on her baking too, so a worthy competitor. All right.
Yeah, and hers were legit, and hers were great. And she actually put out the recipe, so if anyone's curious,
all right,
it's on Sarah P's webpage or Instagram.
I love it. Okay, let's start to wrap things up, but let's go to, I don't know if you've thought of anything, but what happens in ISO stays in ISO. Have you thought of anything?
I did think of a couple things.
Okay.
I had to stew on it a little. And I don't even know if they're like that crazy or dirty secrets, but one thing that I don't think people know, or I don't know, did we talk about this last time or not, that I gave up drinking December 31st?
There is no way we spoke about it because I would have had that face.
Yeah. So, like, I love my G&Ts. I love my wine. My sister and her husband own a winery. Chris works for the brewery. Love my microbrews. And the end of December, Chris kind of threw down the gauntlet and was like, I think we should go no alcohol. And I was like, really? And he was like, yeah. And we had left for vacation the next day. And he was like, and I was like, we're going to go on vacation sober. He was like, dude, if we can't go on a trip and have fun sober, then, like, there's something wrong with us. And I was like, all right. And so, yeah, we stopped drinking, and we didn't put necessarily an end date on it. Like, I kind of threw out, let's go a whole year. And Chris was like, hell no, that's not happening. And so then it was like, all right, we'll just take it 1 month at a time and kind of reevaluate. And so, I mean, that's, I guess, one thing that's happened through all of this is, like, we haven't cracked. Yeah. Although I will say that the few people that are close to me that knew about this when the Kona cancellation came in were like, are you cracking? Are you going to have a drink? Of course, it was Heather. Heather's like, is this gonna end you right here?
Oh, goodness. That's what Jordan and a few other people have said. Wrong year, Chris. Wrong year to throw this down the gauntlet.
And then we just keep extending it. So then I was injured, and I was like, all right, once I start running again and I feel like I'm healthy and healed, I'll have a drink. Well, that's, like, come and gone. And so now we're kind of like, all right, maybe we'll wait till, like, this whole pandemic goes away, but, like, this is not just going away. So I don't know. There's been talks about June 1st. There's been talks about July 1st, which would be like 6 months. But it's been like a really interesting growth and, like, introspective. Like, I've learned a lot about it, and I'm glad. Like, I put on my quarantine 15, no problem, and I wasn't drinking. So I'm glad that, like, I'm not drinking, or I'd be in, like, a quarantine 30. So, but I've learned a lot. And it's just been an interesting, lesson in life of, like, how do you handle tough situations when you can't drink, I guess.
Wow. What? Yeah. So it's funny because every time I ask this...
We're going to have to extend. Everybody stay on and ask your questions. I'm here for them. Open book.
I'm just going to go get a glass of wine. So, okay, yes, I've got questions. But Straight up, the whole what happens in ISO stays in ISO. Every single time we've asked that question, or I've spoken about it, has always been alcohol related, but the other end. So I'm like, you know, G&T o'clock gets earlier and earlier and earlier each day, and you've gone like complete opposite. So I love it.
Yeah.
But what have you learned? You said that you've learned a lot. What's another thing that you've actually learned from it?
Okay. I thought I was a great sleeper beforehand, but the quality of sleep is like unreal. Like I never had problems falling asleep beforehand, but I would definitely be like a glass of wine a night for sure, like 99% of the time. And then off season, or like what would currently be in now, would be like maybe 2-3 glasses. And like I didn't think it affected my sleep at all, but I can't believe like how better rested I feel in the morning, and just like get out of bed and I feel more energetic. So I would definitely say like the sleep is a big part of it. And then it's just been interesting to notice like when I've craved alcohol, or in a situation where normally I would drink, and then just to actually note it and recognize it. So like actually early on, I noticed that when I was home alone, like when Chris went fishing and he'd go camping and I'd be home alone for the night, overnight by myself, like it would just be like, oh, I want to crack a beer, or like have a glass of wine or whatever. And then you would just have to like, it's like in a race when you're having a bad thought. It's just like note it, like, okay, stop, can't have a drink. And like, why do you want that drink? Or what do you think it is? And so I think, just like realizing the habitual situations that were causing me to drink. So like cooking, like I love to cook, and I love to like have a G&T or a wine while I'm cooking and getting dinner together. Or like we've had a few days where the weather's nice, and it's like, oh my gosh, a drink on the patio or the porch sounds so good. Yeah. And then you're kind of, no, I'm not going to do that. And like, why would I want to do that? And why would that be good? And, or like Chris and I went camping a weekish ago. Yeah. And that was really weird to like go camping and not bring a cooler full of like ice cold beer for on the lake. And, so I don't know. Oh, and then like actually Chris, cause it was kind of his deal, has kept a log of money that we're saving.
Oh
and then
my
we're
God.
going to take that money and put it towards something rad. I don't know what yet.
What? But I hope it's a party.
That up because what was happening was we were going out to eat, and we were like, oh, okay, like we just saved $40 on our dinner tab by not drinking, and then he would write it in his log. But we haven't gone out to eat now in however many weeks since March. Yeah. So I don't really know how to calculate like the amount that we've saved on our dinner tabs by not drinking. Yeah. But saving money, that's kind of cool. I don't know. Yeah, right. So it's definitely not a permanent thing. So don't worry, people. Like this is just I just want to try it out.
Well, that definitely would have been a decision maker for me in terms of whether I came in February, because if you weren't having a drink in February, then there's no way I was coming to the island.
We will be cracked by, I think we may go till July. It's up for debate now if we're going to go June 1st or July 1st.
My gosh.
But everyone better like just turn your phone off, because I'm just going to like go through and start drunk dialing all my friends.
Yeah. Or keep your phone on, because it will be brilliant. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay, so one more thing on that, because I do find it interesting. When you say you recognize the feeling, so it's a habitual thing, almost even an emotional kind of decision as well. Do you then try and do something else to take your mind off it, or do you just carry on as normal?
Yeah, I guess just like carry on. And like also to be noted, I don't think I had any alcohol issues. Like this wasn't stemmed from I've got a alcohol problem. I don't even really know why. Like I think it just came up for a variety of reasons, and then it was more just like I was curious. Like, oh, what would it be like? Like all I know is like drinking since it was legal or whatever, and I've never taken I've definitely gone like a month maybe before Kona where I don't drink or whatever, but never has it been like an off season where you're like on vacation or handling a pandemic, which would be like a situation where you normally would like turn to alcohol. But I think it's just more like I just note it and then put it in the back of my head of like, oh, that's interesting. Like, I guess I like to drink while I cook or whatever. And you just crack a LaCroix and get on with your bad self.
Oh, wow. It's so interesting.
Oh, and then actually there's kind of some cool non-alcoholic drinks too, like kefir water.
Oh.
It's pretty cool, yeah. And then they make hop water, which is pretty cool. Chris is really into that, and it's basically like they take the hops that would be in beer, and then they mix it with water, and it's pretty like low sugar. And then the kombucha train, like kombucha's huge where we live, but I'm careful with that because it has a lot of sugar. Like some of it can have a lot of added sugar, but
what? I drink kombucha all the time. Is that full of sugar?
And caffeine.
Oh fuck! Really?
Yeah, a lot of them.
Of course it is. Of course.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. Oh man.
And then I had one other ISO that I had thought of, and that's I can't stop buying house plants.
Oh my goodness! You're at that age.
Chris is like, you need to stop.
Oh my goodness.
But my friend from high school owns a plant, like a specialty plant, like boutique hip shop. And she's been closed because of everything that's going on. Like obviously no small shops are allowed open, but she's doing like house delivery.
Wow.
So if you like send her like, and I am not a green thumb at all, but I'll like snap her a picture of like, well, first I have to order the pots. So there was the pot ordering, and then you got to fill the pots, but I'll like snap a picture of where the planter is and like then explain like, oh, it gets this kind of light and I travel for 2 weeks a year and sometimes I kill things. And then she'll like send me back some videos of like, oh, here's some suggestions. And then the next day, like a plant arrives on the front porch and it's like, oh, a new friend.
A baby, yay.
Yeah. But Chris is like, okay, yeah, the plant, you need to cool your jets.
Oh, funny. Wow. My friend all of a sudden became a plant person, and it was like overnight she turned into an addict. It was and is out of control. And to the point where you go over and she's like, don't go near the fiddle leaf. Like, do not, like, just step away from the fiddle leaf. And I'm like, when have I ever wanted to touch a plant? Like, out of control. I think it's...
Yeah, we're not living in a jungle over here.
Okay.
But we definitely have some greenery. And Chris is like, yeah, it brings more oxygen in the air. More greens, more oxygen, we're refreshed.
That works. Oh, my goodness. Oh, that's funny. Hey, have you heard of a thing called hop tea? Someone has just said hopped iced green and white tea is another, like, nice drink.
That's probably similar to that hop water. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Okay, they were fantastic. What happens in ISO stays in ISO. I mean, and this might come as a surprise to people because, I'm known to, I guess, party and stuff, but I only ever really drink alcohol in a social situation. I'm going to crack a bottle of wine and, have a couple of glasses every night. More so now, I do that now throughout ISO, but yeah, prior to that, I just I find alcohol very much the social thing, and that's what I think I'm missing the most is the social gatherings and having a nice glass of wine with mates over dinner.
And that actually may be maybe making it easier for us, and then we aren't going out with friends.
Yep.
But we were like before all this hit, because we started January 1st. We did go out like with a few people socially. And that's just interesting. I mean, it's just different when you're like the only ones not drinking, but
yeah,
I don't know. It's good to put yourself in uncomfortable situations because then you grow.
Look at you, all with your plants and your difficult situations and your growing and stuff. Okay, what was the other thing? Your favourite thing that's happened this week. I want to, just take a look at, with all the, I guess, crappy news and stuff out there, just a little good news story. It can be something local, something big that you've seen in the big wide world.
Yeah, this was the one that I actually didn't think of beforehand, and now I'm slightly stumped. But Heather Jackson got back to town today, so I'm super excited about that.
Yeah.
She's my mate, if you were Aussie speaking, but she's been down in Tucson, and ironically, like, we've been bugging them, like, come back, and so they finally came back, and the weather has been, it like literally has rained cats and dogs all day today, and I'm sure they're like, We left the desert because why?
Oh,
it's
no.
not, I mean, not like we can see them. I mean, we'll probably get together with them at some point, but still fun to have my friend in town. So Heather came back. That's cool. And trying to think of something else. I don't know. You tell me something good, and maybe I'll think of the next thing.
Well, I mean, Heather Jackson in town is a good thing. You know, that aura in your neighbourhood has got to be a good thing. Has she not been convinced to get a kitty puppy or anything during quarantine or during isolation?
No, it's like my sister actually is getting a little Bengal kitten. It is so cute. So we get little kitty updates.
Oh my gosh.
And so between me sending the kitten updates and then Becca, who we call Biffster, we are on a group text chain of just like kitty, puppy, kitty, puppy, kitty, puppy. And we're like, when are you going to crack, Heather?
Soon. It has to be soon, surely.
Oh, no.
One of my favourite things, and I've spoken about this to so many people, but I'm obsessed with it, is the Michael Jordan doco.
Oh, yeah.
Have you watched any of it?
We haven't, and I totally want to. But now we're like, I think Chris wants to wait and then watch them all. Binge watch them? I don't know.
Yeah.
But we haven't watched it yet. I heard it's incredible, though.
It's just, I mean, obviously the stories and then the stories within the story as well are just awesome. But I really love the way that they pulled the doco together as well. Like, it's a really well thought out piece. Like, they jump backwards and forwards between time, and they show what happened, say, you know, later in his career, and then go back and explain sort of why that was an outcome. And it's really good. But I also watched the Ronda Rousey doco.
Oh, yeah, that was good.
Yeah, so, I mean, I love Ronda Rousey, but with that, I really struggled with the documentarian. I just...
Oh, yeah.
And it kept making it about himself. And I'm like, dude, we don't care about you. Shut up.
It showcased the best, like, telling her story to the best of the ability, personally. But
yeah, and I think... that's what I was disappointed in. Like, I watched it and I love her story, and I find her a really fascinating person. I'd love a one-on-one with her. But yeah, I don't think he did the justice that her story deserves, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And then you compare it to the Michael Jordan doco and you're like,
whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're my favourite things. And RuPaul. I'm obsessed with RuPaul's Drag Race.
Oh, boy. Haven't got on that one yet.
It's so funny. I love it. But to the point that Frankie, you know, watches... She loves it because it's just lots of colour and music and stuff. So she's just bopping around. But there's one of the queens. Her name is Alyssa Edwards. She's very big in the drag scene. And she does this mouth pop that's just like that kind of thing. But she does it in this different kind of way. Anyway, Frankie walks around the house doing it all the time. And I'm like, oh my God. Yeah.
What's happening?
I know.
So good.
It's hilarious. Okay. It is probably well past your bedtime, although, well, yeah, if you don't have anything to drink for, then you may as well just go to bed, right?
It is kind of weird to, like, I mean, obviously there's no swimming. So the swim group normally is at like 5:15 in the morning, and it's like, well, I don't have to get up that early. So we are for sure a bit more laissez-faire in the Corbin household of like, normally I would have shot this down like 8 p.m. on a Sunday night. Like, no way.
Yeah, right.
But we're a bit more, I mean, we definitely are getting up. Like, I've had to establish routine. Like, that's just been good for me. So we get up pretty early, but yeah, I don't know. We're good. We'll wind it down. And if you're tuned in, way to stay up late.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me and sharing your thoughts about everything. Hope you can wrap your head around things as the days progress and we find out more. And good luck with the conversations with other athletes, I guess, and sponsors. I guess the key is communication with everyone. And yeah, we'll just keep playing it day by day, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
All
Thanks
right.
for having me. It's always good to chat.
Always good. Please
get tuned in.
Please give Chris and Timmy
Someone have a drink for me on my behalf. Or two.
I'm sure there's plenty of people out there willing to make that sacrifice for the people's champion, Lindsay Corbin.
All right. Yeah.
See you later. Thank you.
Bye-bye.